and welcome to episode 82 of New Hampshire Knits, a knitting podcast coming to you from the gorgeous state of New Hampshire, where our state motto is Knit Free or Die. Today is Friday, 20th of July 2018, and I'm your host, Corinne Clare. This episode is sponsored by the WoollyThistle.com. The Woolly Thistle brings the best of British yarn and European yarns to us here in the United States and Canada. John Arbon, Knit by Numbers DK, Little Grey Sheep, Hampshire DK, and Susan Crawford's Fenella and Exelana are all new to the shop, and you've got to check them out. Let the Woolly Thistle do the international shipping, so you don't have to. Thank you, new listeners. If you're joining us for the first time, it's great to have you here. And thank you so much if you are coming back as a returning listener. It's always lovely to have you tune in, and I hope that you're well. It's summertime, and I hope that you're all having a lovely summer and getting to do some fun things outside with the kids and what have you. Our summer has been really hot, really hot, and then that goes away and we have just the perfect weather. So it's been good. The kids are doing a couple of camps, but they're home a lot more this year because they're a little bit older, and I'm trying to get them to help in the shop a little bit more too. Yeah, it's just been super hot. So if you're still knitting, good on you. I am too. You know, there's always air conditioning, isn't there? So it's summer and the kids are home. So my podcasting schedule gets a little disrupted every summer. Sometimes I go away completely for the summer. Once in a while, I manage to get an episode out. So I'm trying to get out one a month for July and August. So this is July, and hopefully I'll get another one out in about 4 weeks. Summer is just as busy as any other time of the year, and a little bit more so even because the schedule changes so much. So let's get started, shall we? This episode includes Off the Needles, On the Needles, KAL News, the Woolly Thistle update, and then we'll wrap it up. So Off the Needles, I'm super excited to tell you that Silver Forest is now finished, blocked, ends woven in, the whole thing is done. I really enjoyed knitting this. This is a yoked sweater from Jennifer Steingass, who is knit.love.wool on Instagram. And it's a beautiful grey sweater with, I think it's stars or flowers. Now I can't even remember. And the little pine tree in between. It's a very lovely yoke that she came up with. And I love it. I knitted mine in Jamieson and Smith Shetland Supreme. And the colours I used, I'll give you the numbers. 2003 was the main body. Then the dark border on the yoke was 2005. 2001 is the white background. It's really a cream. And then 2009 is the grey motifs in the middle. It came out as a really high contrasting colour work yoke, but it looks fantastic. The high contrast actually works for it very, very well, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it. I have plenty of those colours actually in the shop if anybody's interested in knitting the same sweater using the same colours. I knitted this yoke twice, if you remember. I knit the whole yoke, which you cast on first and I knit the whole thing at baseball games and so on before realising that it was really big enough for two of me. It was gigantic. So I obviously had problems with my gauge. I hadn't done a gauge swatch. I thought my yoke would just be good to go. Well, I should have done a gauge swatch. So the yoke has become my gauge swatch. I haven't ripped it out. I just tossed it aside, and I'll figure out something pretty to do with it one of these days. But yeah, so I had to go down a needle size, and I even went down a size in the pattern as well. So I was well off. But once I did those two things, it fit really well and does now. Jennifer in this pattern, and I don't know if she does this in lots of her patterns, but she gave 3 different body styles that you could do. There's the classic waist shaping for the hourglass, just straight up and down, or you could do an A-line. I chose to do the A-line, keeping it a nice, comfortable fit. And it's really quite long. And if I were to change anything about this sweater now, it might be to just crop it up a little bit, which is, you know, it's always ironic because I always feel like my sweaters are too short. But this one I feel is quite long. So, but I'm leaving it as is. I'm going to wear it and see what I think. And if I don't like it, it's actually really nice at that length. But if I don't like it and I find I'm not wearing it because of that, then I'm just going to rip back and redo the waistband a little higher up. Yeah, very comfortable sweater. I feel really good in it because it is just such a sharp piece of knitting. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. So that's what's off the needles. And on the needles right now is Calix by Elizabeth Doherty. She's at Blue Bee Studio on Instagram. And this is a gorgeous sweater. I told you about this. It's sort of a summer sweater that I saw twice at Squam and really loved the look of it. It's got interesting construction at the shoulders. And the lovely Elizabeth was at Squam too, it turned out, and she gifted me a copy of the pattern, which was very nice. So I am knitting that in Lyonesse DK from Blacker. And I have more of that in stock than I've ever had before. I have swatched with it before and played around with it, and I really do like knitting with it. I'm not a huge fan of plant-based yarns for whatever reason. I like the wool. Yeah, so this is actually 50% Falkland merino and 50% linen. So you've still got the nice springiness in your hand when you're knitting of the wool, but you've got the drape of the linen, and the colours that come through on the dyed yarn on linen is really, really quite nice, quite lovely. It's like sophisticated pastel shades for the most part, and I really like them. So I'm knitting the Calix in the Lyonesse DK in aquamarine, which is a lovely carabiney greeny blue colour, very summery. And I'm up the body and I'm ready to look at the pattern again and figure out if it's going to fit or if I need to keep knitting to make it a longer body before splitting for the front and the back. So I'm knitting this bottom up. There is a lace panel going up the front, a very simple, easy, memorizable, even I can't screw it up lace up the front. So yeah, so now I'm getting to the point where I need to knit back and forth for the front and the back. And then at some point I'm going to join in the shoulders and the arms. So it's moving right along. And yeah, so if you want to knit that with me, get going. It's a really enjoyable knit, and I'm going to be working on that this week more now that I've finished the Silver Forest. Also on the needles is the Balvraid Hap, and I'm knitting this in the Peaty brown colour from Birlinn yarn. The Balvraid Hap is a free pattern on Blacker, and it's a lovely half hap with a garter stitch, triangle, and then you knit the border, which is lace work. And I thumbs up again, I was able to do it. I think Squam is paying off because I took 2 lace classes there. So I was able to do the border, and now I'm applying the last border, and that too is quite lacy, and that is not as memorizable. Even though it's shorter rows, I'm having to look at the chart all the time. I don't know if you knit from charts or the words. I actually knit the lace border from the written instructions, but I'm knitting the applied border from the chart instructions, and I actually think I prefer the chart, only because your eye can go right to that line that you're on and you're not sort of scanning through all the words to find out where in that line you are. I find it quicker. So anyway, that's coming along, and I'm actually knitting the applied border, which I've got 125 of those things to do just about, or it feels that way, but I'm getting through it. I just started it last night, and this is going to be an absolutely gigantic shawl, which is what I wanted. So I'm really excited. A quick word about Birlinn yarn's Peaty brown in 4-ply. Oh, it is gorgeous yarn. It is just gorgeous. I love the feel of it in my hand, and I love the finished fabric that it creates. I really do love this, and I tried to get more from Meg at Birlinn Yarn, but she is actually out of stock of her 2017 clip. So what I have left is it, and I only have about 13 balls right now, and I might take a couple and put them off in my stash for another project down the road. If you remember, I knitted a vest, a cable work vest, that I knit last year from her 2016 clip, and that was in her DK weight, which was the first weight she came out with, and I love that thing. It's It's heavy and it's warm, and it's a great winter piece. So this 4-ply feels more delicate, but it's just as warm. And I think, when it's sitting in your lap and you're knitting on it, you can feel the weight and the heat from it, and it's just lovely. So it's going to be a very comforting shawl. And so there's not a lot of it left, and I feel like it's quite a precious commodity. There is still some speckled hen, I believe, and I think the grey might have been all sold out as well, so that's gone. But I did hear from Meg that she's working on getting her wool in. I think she did just get it in to the Natural Fibre Company who spins up her yarn. And so there will be more yarn next year. And who knows what that will look like or what it will come back and feel like. I think that's one of the wonderful things about these breed-specific yarns is they are a true reflection of the year they had. So, depending on the weather and nutrition and lambing and all of those different factors, it will affect the wool that sheep produces, which will affect the yarn that we get at the end. So it's kind of nice to keep, looking year to year to see how the yarn might change. So those are the two things I have on the needles right now. And of course, I do have still in hibernation the Radari. And not that my husband ever listens, but he's always asking me, are you knitting on my sweater? And I always say, I will. But I've done the body and I've done the sleeves. So all I need to do is join those things together and do the colour work yoke, and that'll be it done. And it's, I really like knitting for him. I think he's knit worthy, but there's all these other things I want to knit first. So seeing that Slet Lopi, I'm sort of pushing that off, and I'll get to that. I want to probably get to that before the end of August, really, because come September and it cools down. I don't know, maybe I have until the end of September. Yeah, let's do that. And then he can start wearing it in October, and he better bloody wear it, I tell you. Okay, so that's in hibernation, and I'm starting to think about what I want to knit, and it's all sweaters now. I really don't have any interest in knitting socks right now, which is just, who am I? But yeah, I don't want to knit the socks right now, which is fine, I guess. So it'll be a sweater. I found Mary Jane Mucklestone's lovely sweater called the Voe Vest. It's a colourwork vest, all completely colourwork, and this would be a great colourwork project if you're interested in starting colourwork and you want to do the KAL, which I'll talk about. We're doing a sweater KAL soon. It's a DK weight vest that is all colour work. It's brilliant. You get all that interesting colour work, but not as much of the work. More colour, less work. And so it's called the Voe Vest, VOE, and that is taken from somewhere in Shetland, I believe. And I'm swatching for it right now using Strick Garn, which is from Roma, and that's their DK weight. It's very similar to the Fenella garn, it's just the DK weight version. I don't have a lot of colours in stock of that yet, but I'm planning to increase my offerings there, because the other thing that this yarn is really good for is mittens, and there's lots of great DK weight colourwork mitten patterns out there, like Skendier's Selbu mittens and lots of other patterns out there. So I do want to get more in. I've got quite a few natural greys and creams and a couple of browns and a couple of reds, and oh yes, the dark navies, the dark blues to go with the white and the cream. I posted recently a picture that I took at Rhinebeck last year, and it was a stall that was just festooned in hats and mittens, all in blue and white colourwork, and we all love that. We just love that. So I've got plenty of that yarn in if that's something you want to knit. And I know I'm jumping ahead here to winter time and mitten knitting, but just want you to know it's there, because that is the sort of knitting that you just want to gobble up and you can't get enough of it. All right, so where was I? So yes, so the Voe Vest by MJ Mucklestone. I got the pattern, I swatched for it. I'm not too happy yet with my colour work decisions. Oh, and that's another thing. So when you're swatching for colour work, do you do it in the round, or do you do a fake in the round where you just pull the yarn back. You don't knit it all the way around. You just knit, your swatch worth and then pull the yarn back to the beginning of the round. I actually knitted my swatch back and forth, so I was purling back colour work. Lots and lots of people go on about how that's so difficult. I don't think half of us would know it was difficult if we didn't say that. It's not difficult. You're purling and you get 2 colours. To me, I don't think it's any more difficult. So I'm not averse to that. So if you ever have the opportunity to give that a wee shot, I encourage you to do so. You'll be amazed. It's not difficult, but it's interesting. I don't know how. I have a way that I catch my floats that's very quick and efficient, and I knit two-handed with my colours. So when you're purling back, you just have to do the opposite way round to how you would catch your floats knitting. And I'm sure I'm just talking into the ether here. Nobody's understanding me, so I'll stop there. But if you try it, you will find out. And I don't know the way I catch my floats I found on YouTube, and I don't know if there's a certain name to it, but it's a really nice quick way that you don't need to put any yarn down, you don't need to put your needles down, you don't need to do anything, you're just wrapping that yarn nice and fast and it catches and it's lovely. All right. So that's in the works. And then for the Sweater KAL that I'm hosting in August, starts August 22nd, and I'll talk more about it. But for that, I think the sweater of choice for me is going to be a sweater from the new book by Marie Wallin. Her new book is called Bloomsbury and is here in the shop now, and lots of you have been buying it. It's a lovely book and it's very well priced. It's got 9 beautiful sweater patterns, including cables, lace and colour work. There's 4 patterns in there that I really wanted to knit, and I've narrowed it down to 2 patterns, and I'm going to just keep percolating until I know which one of those 2 is going to be. Oh, I have the book right here, and I lie. It's not 9, it's 8 patterns, but they're all garment patterns. The 2 I've narrowed it down to is Rosamond, which is the one knitted in the bright green and is all ribbed with cables. And then there's Vita, which is lacy and cabley and just oversized and very beautiful. Here I go. Maybe I would do Vanessa, which is the colourwork cardigan. There's 2 colourwork cardigans, and Vanessa is the one with the softer colours. Shoot. All right, so I'm back up to 3. Might as well tell you the 4th one I was really interested in was Frances, which is just a lovely basic cardigan with a little bit of lace work. All of these patterns are for Rowan felted tweed. Of course, you can knit with whatever DK weight you want. But I have all the colours in stock for the patterns in this book. So if you've bought the book or you're interested in the book, just know that you can get the yarn as well. So yes, I haven't really narrowed it down, have I? I've gone from 4 to 3. Marie Wallin is definitely a magician, isn't she? She does beautiful things. She's the author of the Shetland book, which is so popular. Okay, so those are coming up. Now, we're not starting the KAL, and I will talk about this later. I keep bringing it up now, but we're not starting that till the 22nd of August, and right now we're still in July. So maybe my plan should be to knit MJ Mucklestone's vest and get the colour work done on Jay's Ridari, or Ridari, as I was told it's called, by Camabornia herself. Yes. But anywho, yeah, and then I'm sure there's other things in cooking in my mind, but I'll stop right there. Let's talk about the KAL, seeing I keep bringing it up. Very, very excited. My friend Maggie, who helps me out, is also manning the boards on the Ravelry group with me, and she is excellent. She is organised and she is excited about wool maybe as much as I am actually. And so she came up with the idea that she thought we should do a sweater KAL. And I said, yep, I think we should. So we're starting August 22nd. It's called the Woolly Thistle Fall Sweater KAL. And there's a hashtag that goes with it. Let me find it. Hashtag TWT Sweater KAL 2018. And I've been working with a lot of designers and more being added all the time. Designers are offering up free patterns as prizes and books. I've got a couple of different books in the offing. They're also starting to offer discounts on their patterns in preparation for the KAL. Yeah, so just some of the designers that have offered prizes already. We've got Marie Wallen, who's offered a copy of her book Bloomsbury, and that will be a physical copy that's sent to you. Annie Claire is offering up a pattern prize. Gudrun Johnson is also offering up a pattern prize. Piniguri, Lovely Anne, is offering 3 cardigan patterns for 3 winners, and she says be sure to check an English translation if that's what you need. Through the Loops, who is Kristen Kapoor, is offering her pattern September House Sweater for 3 winners. Blue Bee Studio is Elizabeth Doherty, and she's offering a hard copy of her book Top Down Reimagining Set-in Sleeve Design and 2 self-published patterns from her Ravelry store. Truly Myrtle, who is Libby Johnson, is offering 3 patterns for 3 winners from her Ravelry store. Scandiwork Kristen is offering 3 sweater patterns from her Ravelry store, and I think she's got some extra good stuff up her sleeve that I'll tell you about soon. Diana Walla has generously offered a copy of her new ebook, Fog and Frost. So we're still in the process of gathering the prizes, and we'll add to them in the Ravelry group thread as they come up. The Woolly Thistle is offering the grand prize of $100 to spend in the shop, so you'll get a gift certificate. And at this time, Truly Myrtle, Libby Johnson, is offering 10% off her patterns on Ravelry, and that expires 8/23, which is the day after the KAL starts. And Kristen Kapoor, Through the Loops, is offering 25% off her patterns, and again, that expires the day after the KAL starts. And thanks to Kristen Kapoor, Through the Loops, who is offering 25% off her patterns, and that expires August 23rd as well. And more designers are getting back to me with their discounts, so please check in. You will get the discount code in the Ravelry group, so go on over there and find the Sweater KAL thread. All the information is in the very first post. So there's lots of time for planning, which is really nice and luxurious, and you can really geek out on what you're going to knit. This KAL is suitable for brand new sweater knitters and very experienced sweater knitters and everybody in between. It's really going to follow the similar format that we had for the New Hampshire Knits Mitten KAL, which is a favourite amongst people, knitters who participate. Everybody really enjoys that. There is lots of chatter. There's a lot of support and camaraderie in the chatter thread. And so if you're a new sweater knitter, you are going to find help and support in that group. We really look to our more experienced knitters to help out and share the wisdom. And we all ooh and ah at everybody's work. So please consider joining us. There's plenty of time to think about it and find that sweater. Keep checking in on the Ravelry group so that you can find those discounts and go shopping as you're planning. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. So thanks to Maggie for spearheading that and getting it to actually happen. Next up is the Woolly Thistle update. The Woolly Thistle is doing great as always. You know, it's July, it's hot outside, but you knitters are still knitting and you're still looking at yarn and working on your stash, as I am too. So thank you for shopping at the Woolly Thistle when you're spending your hard-earned money. I hope that you are always happy with your purchases and with the level of service that you get. It's truly an honour to do this job, and I am hoping that the Woolly Thistle will continue to grow in the next year. The Woolly Thistle is actually 2 years old this month, and I haven't done any special sales or anything like that to market, and it's in the back of my mind, but I think right now I'm just so busy trying to get my ducks in a row that I've just got my head down and I'm getting on with it, trying to do some planning for next year, trying to get the word out to even more customers that I'm here. So your help with that is always, always appreciated, and never feel shy at telling me that, sending me an email and letting me know that you told such and such about this, and or that you heard it from a podcaster, let me know which podcast you heard about the Woolly Thistle on. I can't listen to them all and I don't know them all. So if you let me know, I can at least shoot them an email and say, hey, thank you. I got an order because you mentioned them on the show. And it's just nice and polite to do that, for me to do that. So if you have the time and are inclined, let me know how you found out about the Woolly Thistle, especially so I can thank people. But yeah, we're doing great. July is hot and steamy, but I am still knitting. You are still knitting, and we're still working pretty hard here. I keep trying to get the kids in, and they don't know they've got it made. I mean, you know, they roll their eyes at having to pull orders. And I think this is such a great job. But my poor kids, I think they're totally over the knitting. I mean, it's just the way I live, and they have to they have to suffer that. Anyway, so new items that found their way into the shop include Little Grey Sheep and their Hampshire DK yarn. Oh my goodness, isn't this a lovely, lovely item? Let's just take a moment. It's lovely. I got 15 different colors, and it's so plump. I think that's the best word to describe it. It's a very plump yarn, and I know that once it's blocked, it's going to bloom, and all those stitches are really going to knit into each other. It's a really nice yarn. And of course, it's made by Little Grey Sheep, who is in the Hampshire area of England, which is down south, sort of southwest of England. And she has all these sheep, and she has an excellent shearer that she relies on a lot. I think her name's Susie. And together they have created this really wonderful yarn. And then Emma, who owns Little Grey Sheep, does all the dyeing herself. And it's a beautiful dye job. So I really enjoyed receiving this. This stock has been a long time coming. I've had to wait my turn to get on her books because, you know, that's the thing with these yarns, with many of them, is they're not mass produced, and there's not a lot of supply because, you know, there's only so many flocks of sheep that this yarn is made from. And then we have to wait for it to be spun up, and, you know, there's always loss along the way, so you end up with less and less. So it's very precious stuff, and we're very lucky to have it. And I hope that you enjoy it. Do check it out. It is something special. Yes, Susan Crawford's Exelana is now in the shop, and this is her fingering weight yarn, a 4-ply, and it comes in about 17 colours, I want to say. All very beautiful, soft tones, except for when it's bright, and then it's kapow. Yeah, so lovely, lovely yarn, and many of the patterns in her book, Shetland Vintage Project, is knit with Exelana or Fenella, which I also have, and that is a great yarn, really beautiful, very true to vintage weight yarn because of the 3 plies, and the colours as well are very true to vintage. So 2 very special yarns, got it all in stock here for you. While I'm talking about Susan Crawford, her book, the Vintage Shetland Project, I believe it has just finished being printed, the second print run. It's a bigger print run than the first time, and I'm really excited that I will be getting a large quantity of books over on a ship very soon. So I believe that we're getting close to arranging its journey, and it does take about 4 or 5 weeks to get it across the sea because it is actually coming by sea. And then I have to get it from the dock up to me. So it takes a good long while. But once we get a little bit closer, I will open up pre-orders so that you can order your copy. I have a lot of people on the list already waiting for that email to say, okay, we're ready to go. And so there's lots and lots of interest in this book if you didn't get it the first time round. And I think those who did receive it first time round are suitably blown away by it. It is a phenomenal book that is just full of fascinating people stories as well as the wool story. And then there's the patterns that Susan has carefully recreated from the originals from the Shetland Textile Museum. So anyway, all that to say, the book is coming, and if you are interested in knowing when it's back in stock, or actually when the pre-orders become available, you should go to the shop, go to the Vintage Shetland Project, and go to that page in the shop. There you will see a green Notify Me button. Click on that, put in your email address, and you'll be the first to know when it's available. John Arbon Knit by Numbers DK is here, and it's gaining traction, people. This is a brand new yarn to the United States, and you guys don't know about it like I do. This yarn is really quite beautiful. It's 100% organic merino from the Falkland Islands, spun by John Arbon in Devon in England. It's non-superwash, and it's bouncy and soft and squishy and great for garment knitting. So, look at this. It's 108 shades, and I have all of them. And it comes in the DK weight. It comes in 100 gram skeins. So that is really a beautiful yarn. And you guys are buying the color cards. I have color cards. And if you buy a color card and then you later come back and order yarn, just make a note in your order and I will refund you the shipping that you paid for the color card, just as a thank you. Faithmead of Wales is a lovely line of yarn from a farm in Wales called Faithmead. Mandy is there, and I have about 4 different yarns from her flocks. We've got Teeswater, Blueface Leicester, which is so nice, Corriedale, which is a lovely brown, and Leicester Longwool. All of these would be terrific if you're partaking in Louise's Nature's Shade Along. She's doing a KAL right now, Louise from Knit British. So yes, I think that's a great choice. Actually, a lot of yarn here at the Woolly Thistle would be great for the Nature's Shade Along. You've got Uist wool, Birlinn yarn. You've got natural shades in all of Blacker's lines. Tuku wool has some natural shades in it too. Yeah. There's lots and lots here if you're interested in jumping in. That just started, but I'm sure there's time to jump in if you so want to. As for highlighting stock that's in the shop right now, Blacker Lyonesse, DK and 4-ply, bigger choice of colours than ever before, and this is great for summer knitting, so check that out. I want to push Erica Knight 100 Blue, which is her BFL yarn. It is the most soft BFL I have ever felt. It is absolutely gorgeous and luxurious. It's very plump and soft and knits up into a beautiful fabric, and it deserves some recognition. So if you're in the market for some lovely BFL in some different shades, definitely have a look at that. Tuku sock yarn. I've stocked this all along since I started stocking Tuku, which is quite a while ago. So I've always had the fingering in the sock, and the fingering always outsold the sock. But since Lina 5 came out with the Lotta dress by Michelle Green, Tuku sock, I can't keep it on the shelf. So I think I just got an order in, so I think I have quite a good selection of the sock. So if you're hoping to knit that Lotta dress, then go ahead, get in the shop sooner than later, because it's doing really well, and I expect to see lots and lots and lots of Lotta dresses on Instagram and Ravelry soon. And I still have all of the fingering as well, so that always does well. Tuku is a beautiful wool. My friend Emily of the Fibertown podcast, a video podcast, if you don't know it, you should go check it out. It's Fibertown with an R-E. She's lovely and she's cheeky and funny, and I think she's great. She has been knitting the Birkin sweater, which is, that famous sweater. I think it was from issue 2 of Lina. And she decided to knit a dark brown one with the colourful flowers out of Tuku fingering, and it's gorgeous. I love the colours she's chosen. The first time she knit the yoke, though, it was like a straight jacket. She couldn't move her arms up and down, so she sat on it and thought about it, ripped it back, and has since managed to knit it much better so that it fits her. And so she's finished with the yoke and is about to zoom down the body. I'm so proud of you, Emily. Thanks for sticking with it. Because, that's the camp I'm in. I get stubborn, and if I really want that piece, then that's what I have to knit. And if I have to knit it twice, as we all know, I will. So I wonder, are you like that, or do you toss it aside and find something else to knit with it? I'm really proud of Emily. She stuck with it. And it's going to be fantastic. And she's going to be so happy that she did. I know it. So let's see what else. Okay, so I mentioned Marie Wallen's new book, Bloomsbury. It's in stock. It's written for Rowan Felted Tweed. I have that in stock. It's beautiful. It's got all those tweedy bits. It's a very soft yarn because it has alpaca in it. And it's a very lightweight yarn too. So I'm excited about that. Check it out. I'm also excited about Marie Wallen in general because she is coming out with her own yarn soon, and it's called British Breeds. You betcha I'll be wanting to stock that. And to go with her new yarn, British Breeds, she will be coming out with a new book too called Wildwood. And I am super excited about that. Big fan here. So let's see what else. Vintage Shetland project. Like I said, the second printing is complete, and so we're now working on scheduling the huge shipment to come over by the sea, which I think is very romantic. So yeah, I told you how to get on the list for that. Lina 1 through 5, they reprinted 1 and 2, as you know, as many of you know, because you've been shopping for it, to have your full library of Lina magazines. So yes, I still have 1 through 5 in stock. I think I'm getting very low on 5, so I'll have to order more of that. But I will. You'll be fine. Oh, Uniform by Grainline Studio and Madder, that lovely book with the tunic patterns. So they found out after everybody had been shipped their orders that the paper pattern was actually 4% smaller than intended. So they are sending everybody new paper patterns to replace the pattern that came with the book. My apologies if this affects you in any way. I didn't know, and when they found out, they got on it and had it reprinted to size up to the correct size. I have more Uniform books in stock, but they're not in the shop right now until I get those patterns so that I can swap them out. And I'll put them back in the shop once they're all good. If you bought the book from me, I have your information, and I have patterns coming directly to you from Grainline Studio or Madder. I'm not sure which one it's coming from. But if you don't receive your paper pattern replacement in the next couple of weeks, definitely get in touch and let me know. But I know who you are, and they know who you are, and everything should be moving just fine so that you get your proper pattern. And profuse apologies for that. Lastly, I just want to update you on kits. We have more Peery Fleurs kits by Kate Davies and Jamieson and Smith. That's back in stock. That is such a popular wee kit. It's such a popular wee knit. It's lovely. So more of those are in stock, and you get these gorgeous stitch markers that have really pretty little silver flowers on them. I put some new kits in the shop last week. The Ola sweater by Ella Gordon of Jamieson and Smith, and that sold out. So I will put more of those in the shop as soon as I get more stock of them. The Burra Cowl by Marie Wallen in Jamieson Spindrift, that sold out too. So I'm contemplating whether to get more of that. I probably will. Patterson, which is the gorgeous design or cover design on the Vintage Shetland Project book. That's a beautiful Fair Isle short sleeve sweater. I have kits for that, and they're doing well, and I think I have 1 left in each size. So if you're interested in that, snap it up. The Fair Isle cap kits are back in stock. Erica Knight's cotton baby knit kits are in stock too. And I still have a few Ado, formerly known as the Shibui shawl kits out of Plodolopi. So those are still in stock too. So that is it for the Woolly Thistle update, I think. And lastly, before I go, I just want to say thank you to everybody who left a comment on my post about saying goodbye to our sweet buddy dog. He was 17 years old, and every day that I have been a working person, he has sat under my desk. There was about 4 or 5 years there where I was a stay-at-home mum with the kids at home, and he was right there too. But the rest of the time when I've been at my desk, he is under my desk looking up at me lovingly. And I have to say, I miss him. So thank you so much for your well wishes and commiserations. he was 17. He had a great run, and he was a champ right to the end, but he'd just gotten so old and he was in quite a bit of pain, so it was time. And I miss him, and I know that he is chasing kitties up there and is in peace. So thank you so much for your messages and comments. Well, I think it's time for me to say goodbye, and I will see you probably in about 4 weeks. I hope you get lots of knitting done in the meantime, and remember, if you go out, take your knitting. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to New Hampshire Knits. You can find the Ravelry group at NH Knits. You can find me on Ravelry as NHK Claire, on Instagram NH_knits, and you can email me at nhknits001@gmail.com. And you can find the Woolly Thistle all over the internet at the Woolly Thistle with 2 L's in Woolly.